Hello, welcome back. I'm Andreas Chatt, your tech-curious web designer. In this video, we will install Tailwind CSS locally and create a slimmed-down and minimized CSS file for production, as well as collecting all our static files and save a copy of them in one single folder. Let's jump right in. So until now, we were using the whole Tailwind CSS library directly from the internet, which is very handy and fast to implement when we develop, but when we deploy our app to a web server, we want to create a really small CSS file instead, with only the classes we have used. For this, we will build a JavaScript environment with Node.js and create two scripts. The first script to scan our files for the Tailwind CSS classes we have used in our project and build a custom style sheet, and the second script to minify it to have a tiny style sheet for production, with around 30 kilobytes in size only. So first, let's install Node.js. So you might have Node installed already on your machine, so to check this, you can just write node-v. The V here stands for version. And if you see here a number, you know that Node is installed on your machine. Otherwise, just go to the official website and download Node. So Node.js. And then download the version recommended for most users. Alright, and now in my project here, I create a Node folder to have all the files related to Node separated from my Django files. So I can create a new folder by clicking on the icon here on top, but I can also create a folder directly in my terminal. For this I write mkdir, so make directory, and then space and Node. And as you can see here, it created this Node folder. Now I want to navigate inside this folder, and for this I write cd, which stands for change directory, so cd and Node. This is the name of the folder, and now I'm inside the Node folder. Just in case you want to navigate out of this folder again, you would write cd space ... And now you're again a level higher. Okay, let's go back in the folder, cd Node. So here now we initialize the Node environment in our project. And for this we use the npm command. So npm stands for Node Package Manager and is the equivalent to pip in Python. So we write npm init and -y. So init stands for initializing and the y stands for yes, which means we are happy with the standard configurations. Alright, then enter. So this created now a package.json file. So if you go to our Node folder, we can see here this file with a bunch of configurations. But the most important part for us is this scripts section here, where we see a default script with the name test. We can test this out. So in the terminal, when we write npm run test, we can see here it printed out this line, which corresponds to this line here. Okay, now that we have initialized the Node.js environment, we can install now the Tailwind CSS library. So let's go to the official website, Tailwind CSS, and here we click Get Started. So far we have used the CDN option, where we included just the script in our head. But now we install the Tailwind CLI. So CLI stands for Command Line Interface, which means you can interact with the software using the command prompt or terminal. So let's copy the first line here, and we paste it in here. So npm install -d Tailwind CSS. So the D flag here stands for development dependency, but this can also be left out in our case. So enter. It is downloading now all the Tailwind CSS dependencies. This is taking a couple of seconds. All right. As next, we copy this line here. npx tailwind CSS init. This creates now our Tailwind CSS configuration file. Okay, done. So let's go now to this configuration file we just created. And here in the content section, we add now all the paths to the files which use Tailwind CSS classes. So first, let's select all the files in our templates folder. So we write here ... That means we are navigating out of this current node folder and back again to the source folder, and then slash and templates. Now we are inside this templates folder, and here we say select all the folders we have there and all the HTML files in there. So we write slash **, which means select all the folders, slash star.html. And that means select all the HTML files. Okay, this is one location where we use Tailwind CSS classes. Another location are the templates folder within our apps. For example, in the Inbox app, we created a templates folder within this folder. So let's include this now as well. So again, 2 dots, slash, and then we write 2 stars for any folder name, then slash templates, slash, and again, 2 stars, slash star.html. And another location where we might have Tailwind CSS classes are in the forms.py files within our app folders. So let's include them as well. So comma here, ... slash ** slash forms.py. Alright, this should include now all the locations where we have used Tailwind CSS classes. Now let's create our CSS file. So for this we need those 3 lines here. So the Tailwind CSS is divided in 3 layers here: the base layer, components layer, and utilities layer. So we just copy these lines. And let's create our CSS file. So I'm going to my static folder here, in the CSS folder here, and I create a CSS file here. So I call it tailwind.css. And then I add the Tailwind CSS layers, like that. And underneath here, I add now as well my custom CSS classes I might have used in the project. So let's go to our base.html file. And here are a bunch of custom classes I have created. So let's cut them out from here and move them in here. We get rid of this style tag, so delete this one here and this one here. And I also move them to the left to close the gap. So I select everything, and with Shift Tab I move them to the left, like that. Alright, now we have our CSS file, so save this file now. So this file combines now the whole Tailwind CSS library with our own custom styles. So this is basically the base. Now let's create a style sheet which uses just the CSS classes we actually use in our project. And for this we go to the package.json file and create a script. So we call our script Tailwind. We get rid of this line here, and it's using here the Tailwind CLI we have installed. And then we add here the command build. And then we select the input file. So with -i, we declare the input file. And now we add the location of this file. So again, ... because we have to move outside the node folder, slash, and we go into the static folder, /css /tailwind.css. So this is the file we just created. This is our input file. Now we declare an output file. So O for output, and we just save it next to the input file. So dash static dash CSS dash, and now we call it style.css. Alright, so this will create now a style.css file in our CSS folder. So let's save this file and run the command. So in the terminal we run npm run tailwind. And as you can see, it created this style.css file here. Okay, let's include this file now in our website head. So let's go to our base.html file. And we get rid now of the Tailwind CDN as well. And we include now our style sheet link. Like that. So it's a link tag with the relationship attribute style sheet and the link to our style.css file. We're using here the static tag, so let's load it into this file. So on top, we include load static. Alright, save this file and let's check it out now if that worked. We restart the server, but we cannot spin up the server from here because we are currently in the node folder. We have to go to the root folder again, and for this I just create a new terminal window. So if you click on this plus sign here, we created now our new window, and as we see here, we are again in the root folder. And here we can write now python manage.py run server. Okay, let's check out the website. So I refresh the page, and as we can see, nothing changed. That's great. Let's double check that the website is using actually our newly created CSS file. We inspect this website by right-clicking and going to inspect. I'm here now in Chrome's DevTools window. If you go to the head, we can see here it's using our style.css file here. So we created now our CSS file. However, if we make changes now in our code, those changes will not translate to the website. Let me show you. So I go back to the code. In our base.html, I, for example, changed the background color to pink 500. Save this file. Go back to the site. Refresh. But this change doesn't show up. For us to see this pink background, we would need to run the Tailwind command again and create a new CSS file. But this would be very tedious to do manually after every CSS change we make. That's why we can add a watch mode to our Tailwind script. So we go back to package.json, and here at the end we add --watch. So this watch mode is scanning automatically the file if new classes are added or if classes are removed, and then updates the style sheet. So let's save this file here. Now we go back to our node terminal, which is this one here. We can also rename this terminal window. This can be quite handy if we have more than one. I rename it to node. OK. And now we run this Tailwind command again. So npm run tailwind. So here we initialized now a process that will keep the Tailwind CLI running, and it will automatically rebuild our CSS whenever we save changes to our files. So let's go back to our website now and refresh. And as we can see, the pink background is showing now. Let's try again with another color. Back to base.html. Let's change it to teal. OK, save. As we can see here, it rebuilt the whole CSS file. And let's check it out on the website. Nice, the background color changed. And this is a completely new color class we haven't used yet. So let's change it back to our original gray. So gray with 100 shading. Alright. And save the file. So the next step is to minify this style sheet to have it at the smallest size possible. For this, I'm using a package called Clean CSS CLI. So this is an npm package, so we have to install it within Node. Let's stop the script from running for now with Ctrl+C, and now install this package with npm install clean-css-cli. Alright, now this package is installed. Let's create our minify script now. So back to package.json, we add a second script. So we add here a comma, and we call this script minify. The CLI we're using is called clean CSS. Now we have to declare which file we are using. So I'm copying this path here and add it in here. So this is our file we want to transform in a minified version. Now we add here -o for output, and I paste the path again, but here I add a .min to the name. Alright, save this file. So this script now should create a minified version next to our styles.css file. Let's check it out. npm run minify. And as we can see here, it created this style.min.css file now. Great! So this file we would like to use only in production when the site is on the web server. So for this, let's add a if-else statement in our base.html file to select the style sheet depending on the environment. So in here, I can say if debug. So if it's in debug mode, I'm showing the styles.css file. Else, then I'm copying this one here, and I'm adding here .min, and add also the endif. Alright, so now depending on the environment, we select the style.css file or the style.min.css file. Now for this debug here to work, we have to declare our internal IPS addresses. So we go to our settings.py file, in the core folder, and here below allowed hosts, we add here this internal IPS section, which includes our two local IPS addresses. Alright, save this file and check it out on the website. I refresh the site. So we have the debug mode on at the moment, so it should use the style.css file. Let's check it out. Yes, indeed, style.css. And now I change the environment to production, for example. Now I refresh the page. But now, to our surprise, all our styles are gone. So why is that? So the reasons for this are twofold. So first we need to have a package installed called Whitenoise, which is a little Django package which can serve static files in production when the debug mode is off. Another option for serving static files would be a dedicated web server like Nginx. In development, Django is taking care of serving static files with its built-in run server. However, in production, Django is leaving it up to us. And secondly, all our files need to be stored in one static root folder. But first, let's install Whitenoise now. To install this Django package, let's switch back to our Django terminal to be at the source level again. Also, this one we can rename. Let's say Django. Okay. Then we shut down the server with Ctrl+C. Now install this package with pip install Whitenoise, like that. Okay, we also have to add a Whitenoise middleware to our settings.py file. Let's grab this code from the official documentation. So pip Whitenoise let's go here to documentation. So let's copy this line here and back to our settings.py file. Now here to middleware, and just below security middleware we add this middleware and comma. Alright, now Whitenoise is integrated. Let's save this file. And next we have to collect all our static files in one location for this to work. So let's go to the section where we declare the location of the static files. There we are. And here we add a variable called static root. Static underscore root equals, and the path for this one is base underscore dir for base directory slash, and I call this folder static files. So static files. Alright, save this file. And now I will run the collectstatic command. With this command, Django will save a copy of all the static files to this folder. Alright, so Python manage.py collect static and enter. And as we can see here, 139 static files copied to this new created folder. Let's check it out. It created here the static files folder with all our files. To notice here is that we also have an admin folder now, where all the static files from the admin panel are saved. Alright, that should work now. Let's spin up the server again with Python manage.py run server. Go back to the website. Now we refresh the page here. Let's check that we are using the minified style sheet now. So inspect. And indeed, we're using style.min.css. That means the debug mode is off. Great. So let's switch back to the development environment. So here environment equals development. And save. And refresh again. Nice, it all works. Great, this is all for today. Thank you for watching. Now that we have prepared our project for production,
it is time.
It's time to deploy it to a web server. So in the next video, we set up our GitHub account, select a web server, and go finally live on the internet. I hope to see you there. Bye bye for now.